had a very lucky and a very fortunate and fantastic journey. So the best of opportunities came my way, whether it is getting to do the masters at IIT Kanpur or to getting to do some of the best professional courses within the organization. So I've had the best of everything that an organization could offer. So there is nothing that I really missed, so to say. Yes, if I want to go back and if I wanted to do something better, yes, possibly, a little bit of more adventure in my early years, which I did not do. I should have, but now it is too late. So that is my regret. I couldn't do that. I wish I had done all that earlier. The opportunities were there. So that's what I would tell the people, the students who are watching today also. The opportunities are immense. It is just that you have to grab it and make the best of it. Something which you always think that, okay, I will wait for another day, and that another day never happens, and then there are other things in life which take over. It was during my final year of engineering when we decided to give it a shot at both the SSB for Army as well as the Navy. And the Army SSB happened earlier, the results came earlier, and I decided to join earlier. So I was there in NCC in school, but I was not there in NCC in college. I got kicked up about joining Army or the Navy. And like I was telling you, the Army SSB happened earlier and I decided to join Army. That's it. There were other options I had, but I said, let me join the armed forces. I did not have the kind of, what would I say, the deep insight which you have at this point of time. What is more important is the ability of our engineers, the Corps of Engineers, to be able to work in an environment which, when there is shelling and other things happening, something which people, but then they are trained. There are high levels of training and higher levels of motivation, which makes them do all that. RIMC, what used to be called as the Rashtriya Indian Medical College earlier, is now called the RIMA now. And this is exactly what you were now mentioning, wherein we have quota for each of the states. But let me clarify that whether you study in a Sainik school or you study in an RIMC, it doesn't automatically facilitate your entry into the armed forces. It is just that I would say these are managed by the armed forces. We have the principal of the school, normally from the Army, Navy or Air Force, normally from the education stream, but you can also have a person from the non-education stream also taking care of the institution. There is a certain regime, there is a certain kind of a discipline that the children are inculcated with at a very young age. I would say that staying in that kind of a regimented environment will facilitate them insofar as possibly more confident when it comes to facing the SSB, all right. But nevertheless, they have to go through the entrance exams. And the school also has a structured preparation mechanism in place for the children to be able to do ace in those kind of exams. And there is a kind of camaraderie amongst the children that all of us should get into the armed forces and serve the nation, and that kind of a spirit is there, because of which you will find a large chunk of these children eventually ending up serving either the Army, Navy or the Air Force. As far as option to join Army, Navy or Air Force after class 12 is concerned, there are two ways you can actually do it. One is the National Defence Academy route, wherein you give the Combined Defence Services exam conducted by the UPSC, and thereafter you face SSB. There is a combined merit list that is taken out. Depending on whatever is your choice, Army, Navy or Air Force, you can either become an Army cadet, an Air Force cadet or a Naval cadet. Certain portion of the training is common to all the three services. Those who get to join Army end up getting a graduation, either a science degree or an arts degree, depending on what they choose and what is their specialization in class 11 and 12 also. Those who join Navy will necessarily have to be from the science stream, and those who have to be pilots will again have to be from the science stream. And those who join Navy will eventually end up getting a engineering degree. That is a requirement in the Naval Indian Navy today. Whether you are from the executive stream or the logistics or the technical, you necessarily have to be a graduate engineer. For those of us who have PCM, that is physics, chemistry and mathematics in class 12, I'm talking about Army to be specific now. Absolutely. We have something what is called as the technical entry scheme. In fact, even as we are talking, which is part of my script also, the 44th TES course advertisement is there on the website of Indian Army.
Oh, wonderful.
Now, how this works is you have to cross the threshold qualifying mark of 70% across these three subjects. The specifics are given in the application form. Thereafter, what they do, they call you for a Services Selection Board interview directly. You don't have to face an exam. After this SSB interview is common for any kind of an entry. And the way it is that I will be covering some portions of it in my talk also.
Sure, sir.
In case those of them who are successful in SSB, then there is a merit list that is drawn. And based on the merit list, those who get selected will get to do a 4-year degree program within Army. Now this is done at 3 places. We have it at the College of Military Engineering, which is in Pune. Then we have it in the Military College of Telecommunication Engineering, which is in Mau, which is a place near Indore. Then the third place it is done is the Military College of Electronics and Mechanical Engineering, which is in Secunderabad. Typical batch size is between 30, 35, 40, whatever it is. So you can say around 100 to 120 in a cycle of 6 months. So approximately 200 to 240 vacancies in a year is what the technical entry scheme is all about. Now this is a very attractive scheme for 2 reasons. A, that you get to join after class 12. B, that you get to get a professional degree at the end of 4 years, and it is permanent commission thereafter. And the military training is kind of dovetailed into the academic portion also. So at the end of 3 years, you become a commissioned officer, and after the 4th year, you get the military portion, that is you are a lieutenant captain the way it is, with 1 year of advantage, and you get to choose an arm or service depending on how many vacancies are there at that point of time. So I would exhort class 11 and 12 children who are keen on joining the forces and those who have physics, chemistry and mathematics to give a shot at TES. Those who do not have physics, chemistry and mathematics can definitely look at the other option. And there are other options available to them after graduation also, should they be keen and motivated to join. You can't opt for TES if you're not from science stream. As far as Services Selection Board is concerned, the interview is held over a period of 5 days.
5 days, okay.
Yes, and there are 2 stages to it. In stage 1, which is on day 1, what happens is we call it the screening. So in the screening, essentially there are 2 things that are done. One is the people who come for screening are subjected to verbal and non-verbal tests, that is questions, which is basic aptitude. Thereafter, there is something what is called as PPDT, that is Papa Papa Delta Tango, that is picture perception discussion test.
Oh my God. So, okay.
Yeah, what happens is they are put into small groups. The picture perception test is taken. They are asked to discuss amongst themselves and then come up with a common storyline, to put it very briefly. Now on day 1, at the end of the screening, almost 40 to 50% of the people who typically make it to stage 2, which is from day 2 onwards. So day 2, 3, 4 and 5, there are no more people who are taken off thereafter. Either people are taken off at the end of stage 1, and those who are not taken off at stage 1 will go through stage 2, that is all the balance of the 4 days. And in the balance of the 4 days, what normally happens, there are 3 major activities that I can straight away think of. One is there is a group GTO who checks out your ability for group dynamics. Then there is a psychologist who gets a chance to interact with you, explores your answers, looks at it from the psychological perspective. Then there is a comprehensive interview of the candidate that is done, wherein you're tested for your current affairs, your gender knowledge, your domain knowledge, your military knowledge. Since you are so keen in joining Indian Army, how much of knowledge have you acquired about the organization? How much of interest have you shown, whether it is in indigenization, the kind of weapons we have, all that. And of course, physical fitness, I would say it is basic physical fitness in the sense that you should be able to navigate through those tests, which is very comfortable, so long as you are basically an average fit person. So that's the kind of thing that the person typically goes through those 5 days. And those of them who are successful at the end of it are asked to go through a very comprehensive medical examination. And then, of course, the combined merit between the written and the SSB is taken out. And based on the merit list and the vacancies, the successful candidates are called for the training into the academies. So that's how the process works. Air Force has got an AFCAT and Navy has got something what is called as INET, Indian Naval Entrance Test.
What is that? What is that, General? INET.
INET. Indian Naval Entrance Test. So Air Force has got AFCAT, Navy has got INET, And of course, as far as entry into army is concerned, about which I have a little bit more awareness.
No, absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
through the combined defense services as well as the technical entry scheme. For the technical entry in IMA, it is 1 year, and for
Okay,
the direct
third-
entry, that is those who come through the CDS route, it is 1.5 years.
Okay, okay.
So that's how it is.